Have you ever really wanted something, but really not wanted to do the thing that would get you there? You want to do the pull up. You want to have a YouTube channel. You don't want to go to the gym and you definitely don't want to film. The fact that you don't feel motivated doesn't need to be a problem. It just means you're human. And in today's video, we'll talk about why motivation can feel so unreliable and what you can do instead. So, motivation can feel complicated because there's a lot at play here. First off, we have extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. So, for instance, my YouTube channel, I do this for other people because I feel like I have something valuable to say that may help others. So, I have that sense of wanting to do it for other people. My internal motivation is because a big goal like a YouTube channel is going to promote self growth. I also have my instant gratification and a delayed reward. So when I want to do, even though I want to do an unassisted pull up, when I'm laying in bed on a cold winter's morning, the last thing I want to do is get up and go to the gym and do the kind of exercises that are going to produce that delayed reward of being a strong person that can do that unassisted pull up. So we've also got our thoughts and feelings that are going to be motivating our actions. So if you're feeling negative or kind of neutral around your goal, you may be able to motivate yourself to go past those negative feelings. Like, I really don't want to get out of bed. I really don't want to do this. And you can kind of strong on your way through it. Or if you have positive thoughts about this, like, I can't wait to go to the gym. This is going to be incredible when I am able to do this pull up, those will definitely have an impact on how you feel about that. So what happened for me and the shift that took me from needing to feel motivated was this idea of momentum. And momentum is created by action. And when I'm talking about action, I'm not talking about these huge sweeping um, leaps of faith that we take, but rather the daily habits that we instill that bring us closer to our goals. So when I first started with filming felt huge. The idea that I was going to get behind a camera and say things into a screen and make a video just felt overwhelming. And once I started doing the actions that made that possible, that brought that into fruition, it just became a part of my routine. And once that happened, once it just felt like part of my week, it created a lot less friction for me when it becomes time. So I've shared with you in other videos, I still feel self-conscious and a lot of thoughts come up when it's time to film, but I also know that I give myself an hour and a half over the weekend to film. And so I just don't really negotiate with that. And that becomes easier. Remember, you can set up these ideas and these kind of rules and constraints and always revisit them later. But I do know that once you get into the habit of doing those actions, it can just feel like you have less negotiating you have to do in the moment. So one of the first practical things you can do is try to reduce the friction around those steps. And here's some ways to do that. First of all, you want to be super clear about your goal. So instead of a goal such as, I want to be healthy in my 50s, I chose something specific. I want to be able to do an unassisted pull up. That would mean I'd have to be strong enough to do that. And I'd also have to break that down into steps because I'm probably not going to be able to do that the first day I try. So I did. I brought that into manageable steps, which included doing a little research about what kind of exercises I want to do. I met with a coach who also provided some tips, and then regular attending the gym. Once I had those manageable tasks, I sort of decide in advance and put some constraint around those. And this is a theme you'll see in my videos. But when I decide ahead of time, it's I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. I actually made that more specific once I kind of know my work schedule, and I do it around Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. The other thing is to give yourself a break. Expect to feel unmotivated. If you're like me and you're working full time or you have a lot of other responsibilities, your big goal may seem so overwhelming. So expect to feel that occasionally. I have some go-to thoughts I do that kind of pump myself up for this. I always have a little reward attached to the end of filming. Today it'll be a walk. It's beautiful out here in Denver. Sometimes I just write down a to-do list, like what I did that day, and I can sit there and think, yeah, I actually did do a lot today. You might also share out your progress with a family member or a coach. I still see a coach every couple of weeks, and we always start our session by celebrating our wins. And that can include like having a kind of tough conversation or going through, a stalled out feeling with YouTube and going ahead and recording those videos, it can be really important to share that with somebody, including yourself. Remember, we're trying to get to that place with reward of the feeling we're trying to create here. It's not just the tangible outcome of a video or, being able to do a pull up, but how I want to feel. And honestly, the feeling that feels great to me is being proud of myself and impressed that I created those. And that can happen on a daily basis. So the third thing you might try towards building momentum is shifting your identity into the person that's already doing that goal. And that'll include visualizing what success is going to look like. So if you've been clear on your goal, you know that that's going to look like, say, having a monetized YouTube channel, being able to do this unassisted pull up, but you can do this on a daily basis. By the end of today, I will have recorded my video. By tomorrow, I would have uploaded that on my Mac and started editing. So we talked about the idea of the future self, and here you can get really specific. You can ask, what would that 50-year-old plus woman who can do a pull-up by herself, what would she be doing today? Well, she'd probably be going to the gym. What would that YouTube creator that has regular viewers, what would she be doing? Well, she'd make the video. She would be taking those steps that we need to do to create that outcome. And again, this is not to say that you go to that place and then beat yourself up in your present self, but rather to encourage you. For me, I find that really helps me when I get into this I don't know what to do next stage, or I'm too X to do this. It really does help me adopt that action and doing persona versus someone who's just kind of waiting around to be motivated. I just want to offer that you spend as much time thinking about success of everything working out as you do thinking about how you're going to overcome the obstacles. Those are great to set up your strategies and your task and how you're going to manage those. But you also want to spend time in that fun place where you've received the goal. You've done the pull up. You've done the high five to yourself. You've looked at your channel and it's monetized and people are leaving lots of comments. Those are great. And they really do deserve kind of equal airtime for your brain as it does like, oof, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have found for myself that by taking action, that's how I create the momentum, which can lead to motivation. And sometimes I'm not motivated and I just do it anyway. So I like to offer that you don't necessarily need more motivation. Rather, you need some small actionable steps that start to build momentum. And these will get easier as that wheel starts turning, and it will feel lighter as you build this into your schedule, step into its new identity, and increase your self-trust as you start following through. In this next video, the final one in this series, we'll talk about how to sustain this long term without burning out. So we'll see you there.